I had the pleasure of working in a lab as a postdoc when Dino Guissani arrived as a postgrad. The team was based at the University of Reading, but soon after Dino joined, we moved to University College London. Dino is now a professor at the University of Cambridge, and I caught up with him over lockdown. We discussed the consequences that COVID is likely to have for international conferences. The acceptance of tools like Zoom and Team could generate exciting new options, particularly for people who are starting out in science. I mean, the last time I went to a mega conference was 10, 15 years ago, and that was neuroscience over in America. And there were, 50 odd thousand delegates there?
No, I know.
I can't see that occurring for the next year or two.
No, no, it's exactly that. But, we've been talking about the FNPS, which I'm still president of. I've been for about 8 years, and we're looking for a new person to take over. But the Fetal and Neonatal Physiological Society has grown, and we are exploring, for the first time, how to have a virtual conference. But I've been part of many virtual conferences already, talking at them,
and what are the benefits?
And sending students to them. I think the benefits that I have found is increased attendance. And I think that's because, at the touch of a button, you can decide last minute whether to go for it or not.
And you can be pipetting at the same time.
Yeah, and you can it's almost like listening to the radio, and if you're interested, then you stop pipetting, and then you pay a bit more attention. So I think that's been great. I think for PhD students who, get a poster presentation, I mean, if you think about the cost of that, you have a conference in Australia, which is in Cairns, fantastic. You'd say to your student, we're going to travel all the way to Australia, so you have to find funding for the plane, the actual conference, and the registration, and of course housing, and before you know it, it's £3,000, £4,000 easily.
Yeah.
And then they are, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and then they go and present their beautifully made poster. And if they're lucky, they get 3 people stopping at it with a couple of questions, And what I have found with this sort of some asynchronous planning is where people can read your poster, and create a chat line where you would just ask a question, and all of a sudden they have 600 questions, not
the whole community conversing around each other.
And it counts, and I think that's been very fruitful for students, where they suddenly feel their work is validated, and so I think that's been great. I mean, there's a danger, of course. The downside of it is just lack of human contact, and we can become these boxes on our computers, which work very effectively, but it is difficult. We need to try and blend the two together.
And I've certainly met more people in lockdown than I've done for years.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And it's like,
really useful business contacts.
Yeah.
And developed others in a way that, I've been on so many airplanes and trains recently that just waste so much time. And, I meet people at the end.
Yeah.
But it's taken, 3 days to do a 6-hour encounter. And is that really the right way to be doing it? Yeah. So I'm really excited. I'm hoping we're not going to we will still do some face-to-face training. I'm sure that will come back, and I'm sure we'll be involved. But I think our core is going to be making use of a technology that's been there for years and we haven't touched. Reimagine the space, so reimagine what a conference might be.
Right. That's right. I mean, it may be, a hybrid conference in the future might be where people have actually warmed up to all the posters and the presentations which have been pre-uploaded.
Yeah.
And you go and meet for 2 days rather than 5, to really discuss having already thought about the whole process, and that might
I've enjoyed using when we've got big groups, using breakout rooms and a shared Padlet screen, so that in the breakout rooms everybody can see what everybody else is posting up on the board, and then your group can comment on another group's ones, and you can get a real dynamic going those spaces with people in very different countries, just synchronously working in a sort of semi-synchronous space.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
two tie together.
Yeah, I mean, what's suffering, I think, is the teaching of different subjects. In something like medicine, it is very difficult to, or basic science is very difficult to just provide, model experiments without actually doing them,
Yeah.
or model dissections without actually
Right.
doing them, and that might suit certain people, and we've also found that it's very difficult to try and keep track of people who are not doing well, both psychologically and physically. So that's become very difficult. You don't get a sense of how people are doing really by a little screen on your computer.
And in the current states, some people are in a much worse position than others. I was running a workshop recently, and I started by saying, so what's the one thing that you've learned in COVID that you'd love to take forwards? Yeah. And top right hand corner, someone just burst into tears.
Yeah.
So we went offline with that one. She just said, there's absolutely nothing. This is hell. Locked in a little flat with two small children, and et cetera, et cetera. Our current space isn't good at all for many people. But I still think there will be ways that we can do things that will be good.
Yeah.
We mustn't forget the need to physically meet each other. There's the transitory conversation over a meal.
That's right. I mean, it's both. It's trying to keep both virtual and physical together into this ideal marriage. I mean, a really good example in teaching that we're developing at the moment now is that we realize that for years we've been teaching modules in a syllabus in a very serial way, of course. So you teach the theory, and then you have practicals that come in. But if you're teaching 500 undergraduates in the first year, you can't accommodate all of them in one practical session. So, which means that they're going to go through the practical having received the theory at different times, right?
Okay.
But if you again make it asynchronous, you can actually upload 10 minutes of relevance of a lecture and say, now having learned that, go and do this practical, then come back to the next 15 minutes of the lecture, and then go and do this analytical study, and then come back. So that means
towards a flipped classroom where they learn outside the classroom and apply inside the classroom.
That's right, and everyone can do that, and everyone have the same experience. And press the button of fire up their computer when they are feeling really receptive.
And if there's a bit they don't understand, they can watch 5 times.
That's right. And if a lecture is going too fast, you can actually pause it, and then
we'll
go back and say,
yeah,
that's right. So it is interesting from that point of view. So I think we will succeed. I like you. I just think we need to temper that enthusiasm into making something more of a hybrid to make sure that we don't become just electronic boxes.
Okay, Dino, that's great. I need to move on to a couple of other things. We will share a beer in Cambridge in the nearest future.
That would be terrific, Pete.